Dude, this is such a nice day, huh? What? Dude, what?
Respect the rules of the road.
Okay, wow, alright. Jesus. Oh my God. Hey team, welcome back to another Levi's Save the World Hildebrand episode, the channel where we prove that you don't need to be a hero to save the planet. Today we're going to be answering a question I've asked myself for years, and that is, why do people hate cyclists? So I made this video largely just because I'm interested in this question. I never understood why people got so crazy about seeing cyclists on the road, and I've learned a ton, and I hope that what I've learned can help you feel a little bit more confident in being a cyclist yourself, or as a road user, feeling a little less frustrated when you see a cyclist in front of you on the road. Now I have to start by saying that I'm a person who rides a bike regularly. I don't wear Lycra or own an expensive bike, but I do use the bike life hashtag on Instagram, and that's clearly enough for me to be considered a cyclist. Okay, with my bias clearly established, let's start with that word. Cyclist. See, I started this channel when I was living in the Netherlands, and if you go back far enough through my catalog of videos, you'll find some old content that I made about the incredible cycling infrastructure in that country. Now, despite all of this world-acclaimed cycling culture, they do not use the term cyclist. That's because in the Netherlands, the bicycle is not an ideology or a way of life or an excuse to wear Lycra in public. It's just a form of transportation. The term cyclist is actually invented to describe the weird, small group of people who are willing to ride their bikes on North American streets that simply aren't designed for them, as you'll see here in just a second. The Netherlands, for a variety of reasons that I elaborate on in my Amsterdam video, is built around the strengths and limitations of the bicycle. Here in Canada, not so much. Here, bikes are forced to ride in one of two places, either on the road amongst the traffic or on the sidewalk with the pedestrians. So you can see how this becomes a difficult circumstance for people on bikes. And this is really the crux of this whole issue, because whether it's you, me, or anyone else, people in cars just want to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible without hitting anything. That's why we've made our roads as wide and as separated and as free of obstacles as possible in order to ease traffic flow and get drivers where they need to go as quickly and as safely as possible. And bikes kind of get in the way of that. And that's it, really, because it's not that cyclists are evil people terrorizing the streets, it's that the streets just aren't built for them. Between the differences in skill level between riders, the variation in speed between cars and bikes, no wonder people in cars end up yelling at cyclists all the time. What, are you serious? Dude, are you kidding me? What's another line? Let's try something else. What are you thinking?
Road, man. You
Listen,
my fucking taxes paid for this fucking road, you asshole. Are you fucking serious?
You don't.
Guy out here, I swear to God.
Hey, whoa! Oh my. Dude, that was probably one of the most fun I've had shooting a video ever. Then why bother? I mean, if these bicycles are so annoying and everybody hates them, then why don't we just get rid of them? And the truth is, because we actually kind of need them. To explain more about this, I have asked my friend Robin to help me out. Robin is currently completing his doctorate in cognitive neuroscience at the University of Waterloo, where he's studying the psychological impacts of urban design. He does a ton of really cool stuff with VR and has been featured in a ton of magazines, but a lot of the work that he does has to do with the bicycle. Why are automobiles not great for cities?
Cars take up a lot of space in cities where we're requiring more space for housing and sidewalk space. They are bad for the environment, and they pose a significant public health risk just from the injuries and deaths they cause.
Okay, now I think that there is still this like fear that bikes are against cars, and this sort of bikes versus cars debate is really quite divisive.
Yeah.
What are some misconceptions around that bikes versus car idea?
What I find challenging about pitting cyclists against drivers is that it completely denies the reality that most of us use all three modalities or wheelchairs. Like if someone walks or uses a wheelchair or rides a bike or drives or takes transit, there's a chance they're going to do all of those things. I think that a lot of the media stokes this fire just because it gets people irritated. That's fed by negative experiences that cyclists have with drivers or drivers have with cyclists or pedestrians. But the reason that they have those negative experiences is because there's no infrastructure. I think that the only way to create peaceful coexistence between people who choose to ride bikes and people who drive and even pedestrians is to allocate space to each of them.
That infrastructure that Robin is talking about is one of the most contentious words in all of civil planning: bike lanes. No matter where bike lanes are proposed, they're normally met with pretty serious resistance. Road users that are already frustrated by bikes being on the road in the first place are now being asked to give up some of that precious road space to these two-wheel invaders. Ironically, bike lanes like this one might be the solution to solving our congestion problems across the board. This is because of something called latent demand. Essentially the build it and they will come idea. With proper bike lane infrastructure keeping bikes and cars apart, people feel more comfortable riding their bikes in urban centers, and so they leave their car at home. More people on bikes mean less people in cars, which results in less congestion for everybody. Cities all over the world are starting to understand that bicycles might be a really great solution to our urban density problem. And probably my favorite and most inspiring part about bikes is that we already have them. It's not a technology that we need to develop or invent. We have the bicycle and we fundamentally understand how they work and what their limitations and strengths are. This gives us a huge leg up towards implementation, towards actually making these devices a functional tool in making the world a better place. Because the reality is, our cities aren't gonna get any smaller. And that means that the car is probably not a super ideal transportation option for everyone to be using. So maybe the old trusty bicycle is the transportation of our future cities. If you are interested in seeing more content related to bikes, it's a subject that I'm very passionate about, so it's likely it will be on the channel in the future. Hit that subscribe button if you are keen on seeing some of that. If you want to know more about bike culture and the changes that are happening in cities across the world, I highly recommend that you check out Robin on Twitter. He has an incredible portfolio of work online that you can check out. And as a final plug, I am going to be talking more about bikes in my monthly podcast series that you can find on my Patreon page. All of those links are linked down in the description. I really appreciate you taking the time to go and check those out. But regardless of your interest in bikes or the drama that surrounds them, I want to thank you for watching this video and supporting this channel, because it means a lot to me. And if you are subscribed to this channel, we will see you in the next one.